Buying a renovation project is a huge risk, I should know. But buying an office that somebody's half turned into a house slightly increases that risk. So in 3 months' time, I need this place finished and planning permission granted. So I've just picked up the keys. Let's go turn this place into a home. Let's go. So my main focus at this stage was to tackle the areas which could cause damage in the future. I started off with the rear window, which had only been installed with foam. I needed to render this, so I used a reputable company in the area who used sand and cement to repair this nicely. I then went over this with bitumen as the area is quite damp and it's quite close to the ground. This way it will protect it from the water much better. Okay, so just got to the property. The tiling has all been done. There's a lot of work that has been done already. It just needs finishing off. The guy just never got around to doing the finishing touches, and that takes a little bit of time. What I'm going to do is just crack on, get done all the little bits. I'm going to get somebody in to do boxing because I've tried that before. To be honest, it's worth me just spending the money rather than me trying to tackle it. I just think it's best if somebody does it properly. Anyway, I'm gonna have a go at the grouting and see. We've got these tiles here. So these are like a Spanishy effect tile. I think like a light grey cement style would go well in there. So I've got the grout, got to mix it all up and get it in. So I've put 65 litres of water in there, and then I'm just going to chuck some powder in. We're looking for a bit of a peanut butter effect. There you go, that's the sort of consistency we're after, I'd imagine. First time you're doing this, by the way, so I don't know. Let's give it a go, slap it in. So what I'm doing is collecting a little bit of grout and working it into the little recesses and then wiping that off, that excess. I'm trying not to wipe it flat, so wiping it always at a diagonal like this, so that you tend not to get in the recesses when you're wiping it off and pulling all the grout that you've just put in out. That makes sense? It's my first time doing this, you know, and I'm finding it quite fun, quite enjoying it. The other thing, not to get too precious about the worktops at the moment, because when you do the wipe down, you can really tackle that. And that is the kitchen fully grouted. Obviously where there's little holes, you can just go back, fill them, and just wipe them off, and that should come good. Right, let's do the wipe down. Okay, so what I need to do now is I need to wet the sponge and really rinse it off, make it nice and sort of just damp. You don't want it soaking because it will end up watering out the grout. And then what you want to do is wipe it all down, stay diagonal again, use sort of circular motion, like so. It will look a little bit smeary when you do this, which is fine. What you then need to do now is buff it. So you need a clean microfiber towel, and then what you need to do is go back on yourself and buff it in the same motion. What that buffing does is it makes the grout nice and smooth. So we're back at the property, jobs to do. So we've got the boiler. This is a bit of an annoying thing. Boiler is sort of recessed into the wall, so I need to take this out and almost try and recess the wall back a little bit, because otherwise you can't open the cover. I'm gonna put a sliding door on here, nice little oak panelled one, which is down there. That's ready for the chippy. What else have we got to do? Got some boxing in here. Got to drop the ceiling to hide all of this. Box around the duct. A little bit of tiling to be done under here. The guys sort of just half finished it, so yeah, it doesn't look the best. So that needs to be tidied up. Same with under there. And then the kitchen. We've got to duct the extractor fan for the kitchen. I've patched in some holes where the old extractor fans went. They actually went out of here all the way through this hole here, and they went into a guy's courtyard, an Albanian guy's courtyard. So I've had to pull all of them out because he wasn't the most happy, and rightly so. I mean, you wouldn't really want somebody else's cooking blowing into your courtyard. Upstairs, delivered that. So we've got to connect this up here and fix this. Fix that to the wall. And in these bedroom, I mean, there's nothing major to be done in here. I just need to tidy that up and repaint that. These lights are a little bit funny. I mean, I'm not really sure what the guy was thinking putting them up there. So I've just got some sort of drop down ones. I don't know if you can see it there. Just sort of hang down a little bit nicer, a little bit lower. So light up whatever you're doing under there. It's not plumbed in, by the way. Same situation with that light. Some some back plates to be going on. Not a lot in these two bedrooms to be done. Aha, this bedroom, we've got the new extractor fan going out there now, blowing the kitchen fumes out this side rather than over here. So what I need to do with this staircase is, it's so super steep. It's about 50 degrees pitch, and I don't know if you can see it there. I mean, look that's nearly straight up. So I need to now reduce that pitch, move this door forwards, and then put a stud wall along here, and that way that will create a separate room up there, not just for this room. But what the plan is, I need to somehow lift this up so that it's not as steep. So make it like a little bit more like this. So what I'm thinking is, if I put a little step in this hallway, maybe starting here, step up, so you walk up, and then that can then lift up completely, and that should reduce the pitch. But what do I know, hey? So I'm gonna speak to some stair people, see what they say. But yeah, that's the only thing that's sort of holding things up a little bit at the moment. Things looking good now. That light fitted up there, looks good. This window needs to come out, which is annoying because it's leaking, and you can see it all under there, and it's also leaking there. What I need to do is get some scaffold up. You can see that it's all blown here in this corner. It's all rotten from the inside, so it's getting in. This little skylight here, I have got a walk-on one to be installed. That makes this room safe, because at the moment that is just like a thin piece of glass. So if anyone was to sort of fall or step on that, I know you probably wouldn't because it's under there, but that will then be a safe concealed unit up here now. This is the new extractor fan for the bathroom, which has been moved. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull that out of here. The moisture gets sucked up through that inline fan, and then I'm gonna punch a hole through when that scaffold's up, replace a tile with a tile vent, and then poke this out the wall, out the roof. So that's the plan. I don't know if you can see the little garden, community garden outside. So I better crack on.
Now that the extractor fans were moved as they were in the neighbour's garden, they've now been moved to the front of the property. So all the extraction goes to the front, and I can now plaster the areas where the old extractors have been.
Right, I am filling this crack, and the rest of the house. I've done the mix a little bit too wet, and I've just been getting covered in shit, to be honest. But it's starting to look a little bit better now. May need quite a bit of sanding. I've got the carpenter coming tomorrow to tackle a few bits, so I want to get out of his way and get a few of this stuff down, but I'm knackered, pretty late now, so I want to go home. Anyway, we move, let's go. Right, we're off again. So we've got the sliding door, which has all been measured up and cut. I now need to plaster this wall so that can then get installed. The same with this corner bead, because obviously once that door is on, this corner bead is then gonna be hidden. So I'm gonna finish that, plaster that, and then maybe give it a little mist coat before he then hangs the door, because then at least finished, then it looks a little bit better, doesn't it, on the in and around where the sort of fixings will be. So let's get to it. So I'm plastering the cupboard, doing a very good job. It turns out I haven't got any of the tools, so I'm just making the most with what I've got. So it doesn't look that bad. I'll give you a little preview. So obviously this recess here is to allow for the boiler to come out. So it's actually quite a tricky, considering it's my first proper wall plastered, it's a very tricky one to do with lots of corners. But it's come out not too bad. Clear up now, and then I'll do this wall later. Yeah, all good, all good, all good. Morning, everyone. A few little jobs today. So I've got this understairs cupboard. The handle is knackered and it's completely pushed through. So I'm gonna get some wood filler in there and drill some new holes and put a new handle on. That'll transform the cupboard really. I know obviously it's a bit premature doing it before painting, but I'll just tape round it. That'll be fine. So I've put the plasterboard on the back. Now that shuts perfect. Much better. Okay, so after a very dirty job chasing that
wall upstairs. Cables are now in. So now I can start filling the place, and I don't want to use normal filler. I want to use a deep fill that doesn't slump. And that way I can give a base coat, and then once that's all dry, I can then go over the top of it with a smoother filler and sand it all down, and it will come out looking a lot nicer. So let's give it a go. So in order to future-proof this room, I needed to install a smoke alarm and fire alarm up here, as if this eventually does become a habitable space, this is a requirement. So in order to do this, I had to chase out the old wall. I then found out it was lath and plaster. That made the job a little bit more messy, but easier to fill because it sticks nicely. Now we're upstairs, let's get filling. So I'm gonna start filling this trace here, the lath and plaster, with the thick stuff. Get to it. Quick tip though, disposable gloves, lifesaver when you're doing stuff like this. My friend told me this little tip, and take them off, nice and clean underneath. You're ready to go. Let's go. Now I've got the consistency. You want to be able to lift your mixer up, and you want the filler to not drip off. So it's a bit of a peanut butter consistency. It is at the moment. That is a mezzanine going up into this room. So I want to create a separate room up here. So I'll need a lining in there with the door, and Oaksy's are currently making me a new staircase, which is a little bit safer and will pass the building regs. I'll need a stud wall to come along off here and to enclose it up the top there. Move this door, pull this lining out, and move this lining here, starting there, which is 400mm from the stairs, and then put the new door in here. An overview is stud wall here, move the lining here, add a door up there, and enclose this off. I don't know what you would think, sort of stud work across from there to there, just to enclose it. Some beams along here maybe. And what I was thinking, because this is quite small, this room here, there'll be a bit of a gap here, so I'd like to put a little bit of a bar. As I want to turn this into a bedroom, I want to put a bit of a wardrobe. Makes the space a little bit bigger. It is painting day today, so I've finished all of the filling, the sanding, all of the little prep work ahead of today, and it's time to tackle the kitchen diner. And yeah, it's all starting to look quite good, but first, before I start painting, I have to prep the kitchen and cover all of the units, because the last thing I want to do is start spraying paint all over the kitchen, and that just adds another job for me. Let's start all the taping and covering up the kitchen. Let's go. So we've come across a massive problem here for me. I've obviously already bought all of my nice white paint, and I've started painting the ceilings, as that's where the most marks have been made with the filling. Turns out the walls are not the same colour. They're more of a rubbery texture, like a wipeable paint. I'm worried if I put my paint on that, it's going to start flaking off, or it's not going to hold. Yeah, not sure what to do. I think we're going to have to try and find this paint, which could be a massive problem. In the meantime, I'm going to carry on with the ceiling and get Googling. Oh no. So I've been painting the ceiling, and this little area obviously has flaked away, which is annoying. I'm going to repaint that and see how it comes out, and if it really looks really bad, I'll have to then go over and fill it, sand it down, paint it again. Little things like that, really annoying. We move, let's keep going. Okay, so the ceiling is all painted now, which is great. Just gotta wait for that to dry. But look what I have just found under the stairs. Oh. God, I'm happy. At least like that means that yeah, that's good news. I mean, I'm gonna try this on one of the walls just to check this is the correct. The walls in here, it's mentioned it's a scrubbable paint. £66 he's paid for this. Expensive stuff. Right, I'm gonna do a little test run on this wall, I think. Okay, let's test this out. Looks white, but I think once that dries, that will look like this eggshell. Oh, it's tricky, especially it's going to be tricky cutting in as well, especially because I've made a bit of a mess. Well, I'll just leave this and wait and see if it comes out white. Yeah, Good stuff.
If you look at this paintwork, I now know why it looks so bad. The guy before me has put on this scrubbable paint, which is slightly darker, ever so slightly darker than what is on the ceiling and what was on before. And obviously when he has been putting it on, it looks white and then it dries darker. So I'm hoping that is the case where I've painted. So I've painted this, so it looks white. I'm hoping that dries a little bit darker, and then all I'll have to do is just go along the tops, touch it all up in a bit nicer, and then obviously paint this hallway, staircase, even that out. So I'll obviously put the darker stuff on. That'll look much better. So the refurb has been progressing nicely. Got a new consumer unit, new boiler, plastering, painting, but it all came to a bit of a roadblock to one thing: nutrients. So let's just rewind to last year. I kicked things off with a pre-application to the council, just letting them know my plans and getting some early feedback from them. The reason I'd done this was because it helped get planning permission in the future, but the response was positive. Just a few little tweaks. We had to add some built-in wardrobes, some bike storage, relabel the plan slightly, and we were good to go. I then submitted the full planning application to change the office into a Class E into a Class C3 household dwelling. Good to go. I was confident. I was thinking things were gonna just fly through. So a few weeks later, I then got a comment from Environmental Protection. They mentioned the road noise. They said, long story short, I had to do a noise impact assessment, which meant that I had to upgrade the windows, install mechanical ventilation, and put in acoustic vents. So it all comes at a big cost, but we're gonna push through. But then came the bombshell. So my case officer emailed me saying that property is in a nutrient neutrality catchment zone, which means I need to wait an extra 5 months for a decision. Nutrient neutrality strategy is just to stop developers from polluting protected areas. Basically means fewer bedrooms, means less sewage waste. But what I don't understand is how can changing it from an office into a house produce more waste? I don't understand that. Surely you could fill the office with loads of people, you could fill it with 10 people, and they could all be producing waste. But now I'm stuck waiting for the council to join the nutrient credit scheme. Told me they don't know when they will join, but with it, this means that I can then pay £6,000 to offset the pollution that I will be causing. Only then my application can then move forward. So stay tuned to see if I will get through this, whether I will even risk finishing the build, or do I just sell up shop and admit defeat. Stay tuned to find out. Let's go.